Ladies and gents, we are here, fighttalk.net, in the car on the way to Manchester. We're living the dream. How we doing, Sam? All good?
All good, mate. I'm a designated driver as always, aren't I?
So we should probably not ask you any tricky questions in case you fucking crash the car. In the back seat we have current Southern Area lightweight champion, my man Jumaane Camero, fresh off a good performance last night, 2 weight classes above. How you feeling, mate?
Not too bad. Wish I got the win, but you know what?
You live and learn.
Live and learn.
Now we're going to have a good night.
Up to George Eubank.
Yes.
Be a good night.
Who's George Eubank?
George Eubank.
George Eubank.
Another fucking son. Did you send him to America as well? Fuck. Also in the back, the man, the myth, the legend, British boxing aficionado Dan Frost. Dan, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks for the guest spot on here.
Oh, it's all
appreciate
good.
it. Thanks, boys.
It's all good.
What was the description you used earlier? That was a great word.
I can't remember what. Passion projectist.
He just makes it up as he goes along.
I do just make that up. Yeah, we're in the car. So, what is happening then? We are on the way to Groves Eubank. We're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about it on the way back.
Yeah.
That probably makes more sense.
Well, let's touch on the Haymaker show last night.
Yes.
Not just because Jumaane fought, but we were there, top to bottom. You know, a good solid card.
Yeah.
I've got little opinions because I was in the back most of the time, so I didn't see much.
You were.
Saw a few of
I've
the
heard he's
fights.
always in the back.
Oh, that's cheap. That is cheap. Yeah, Dan, you watched it on TV, mate. So you watched a couple of the fights on TV. What was your opinions of the stuff you saw? What did you catch first?
I think the first one, literally, that got broadcast was the Hutchinson fight, the cruiserweight. Saw his debut actually back in at the Indigo at the O2 last October. Good prospect, raw. Yeah. I believe he's only 19 years old.
Yeah.
But he, no, I think he's got something about him, in terms of a prospect, big lad. He had quite a tough assessment last night. So, what I've seen of him, needs a bit of work. Got caught too easy, but I like what I see, really. So whether cruiserweight is the right limit for him, I don't know.
Craig actually gave a great point yesterday. He was talking about obviously you said he's 19, quite young, new pro. What do you think about him being against like someone of Eric McConzo, who's had quite a bit of experience, quite old, and coming from a cruiserweight? He was 8 pounds heavier.
The guy fought.
Did you? Yeah, the guy fought. Do you think?
Weight by 8 pounds.
Do you think that was a good fight for him, or?
I think it was really good matchmaking, because I think he learned a lot from that last night. I know he was out in Paris for his second pro fight. Yeah. Against another journeyman, which looks good on paper, gets your confidence going. But a lot of his early these prospects, these sort of level fighters is what you need, and which that'll come on to for lots of Daniel Debras down the line.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is, I've went down and spoke to Willie a couple of times. He's a young guy who obviously had a good amateur career. Now, from what I heard, that show last night was very dangerously close to being cancelled. Like, dangerously close to being pulled off Dave, no TV coverage, fuck this show, forget about it. And from what I heard, he's a super middleweight, he's a 19-year-old super middleweight who's had 2 fights, and the pressure was put on him to take a fight with a boy who was weighing in at cruiserweight, who's 32 or 30 or whatever, and has had a few professional fights. I don't think it's fair for a TV network or for a promotional company to put pressure on someone who is that young and that raw to take a fight, and if he doesn't take the fight, the show gets cancelled. Yeah. I don't think that's fair. If he goes in there against McConzo and he takes a big right hand and he gets slept with a big right hand and he takes his first loss, how can he look at his own promotional team, or how can he look at his own television network and say thanks very much for putting me in that fight? I don't think it's fair. I think he's got all the raw ingredients. We just need to start making a cake, don't we, sir?
Big up Dominic Ingle.
Dominic Ingle!
We were sat behind him, and that was exactly what his words. We've got all the raw ingredients. We just have to make a cake. The thing. Listen, it ain't fair on him. But if you're going to be one of the spearheads of a promotional company and a network, expect to have to go out of your way a bit. I'm sorry, like Venom Page weren't fighting last night, so it was down to him and Joyce. Joyce was fighting a guy who was the kindest way I can put it, a huge step back from Ian Lewison. the harshest way I can say, he should never have been in the fucking ring with Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
But Willie Hutchinson took the fight. Again, we know that it was close to not being accepted at the weight, etc. But he wants to be. He's a spearhead for Haymaker ring star, isn't he? So he's had to do it. Listen, he didn't look bad. He got caught a couple of times, but he still won every round on the scorecards. Got one knockdown, and he's a good fighter, man. He's 19. They got to not rush him. I'd like to see him fight super middle or light heavy. I don't want him taking big fights with big cruiserweights like that anymore.
I wonder if he could go down to middleweight.
I don't think so. He's quite big.
Think
He's
so?
quite big. Are you going to your thoughts? Your what was it? Your prediction? Because Salas wasn't in his corner.
So I said, here's how this came about. Dan, you weren't here when we had this conversation, so I'll recap for you and the 3 people that will be listening to this podcast. I thought it was quite interesting last night. We seen Dom Ingle was sitting directly in front of us. Shout out Dom Ingle, always baking cakes with raw ingredients. And I said, why is Dom Ingle here? Talking to Paul Zanon about it. I wonder why Dom's here. There's no fighters in Dom's camp. None of the away fighters are trained by Dom. Bit strange, he's here. Then we seen Willie Hutchinson come out without Ismail Salas, who was in the back. So he was in the venue because he was in the back for Joe Joyce. Came out with Joe Joyce. And when everybody else was fighting, Dominic Ingle never really took an interest. You know, he would dip in and out. He was all over his Instagram like a fucking 12-year-old girl, man. If you check out his Instagram, I might be creeping about in the back of some of these fucking pictures. But as soon as Hutchinson came on, he started zooming in on his phone, taking pictures, videoing little clips of Hutchinson, doing little bits like talking about him to people who were sitting nearby. He brought over Shelley Finkel after the fight and was talking to Shelley Finkel, who's Willie Hutchinson's manager and a legend in boxing. Then after the Hutchinson fight, when the best fighter on the card, Jumaane Camero, stepped into the ring, Dominic Ingle just disappeared.
Yeah.
Now, the person he was with didn't disappear. The person he was with was still sitting in front of us. So my thoughts were Hutchinson to Ingle. Maybe? Was he there on a scouting mission? Was it
Maybe.
Come down, check this out, see what you think? Because he was only interested in that fight.
He wasn't.
He has no previous links to any of the fighters on the card, and he disappeared after the fight. And I just wondered, I'll pass it through to the back, if you boys thought there was any legs in that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's, I wouldn't say a poach, but he just sounds like he's interested in work with him. Maybe because of they've had, I don't know, have they worked together before in the past, or maybe he's just got a good interest in him. But from what you're saying, it sounds like he's got a deep interest in working with him, and I'm sure them two work together will be amazing, to be fair, because what Dominic Ingle does and the people he's got in his camp is unbelievable. It's like Adam Booth. They're like some of the best. They're the best trainers in the UK at the moment, to be fair. I don't know why Salas is out of that picture though. Obviously, Salas is amazing on his own accords. I guess it's just all going to kind of come out, but we'll see. Maybe you just had a dentist appointment to go to at 10 o'clock, you know. So you don't really know, but we'll see in the future. Find the next fight. Or
Dan, thoughts on that Ingle Hutchinson link up?
Not sure really if there's any kind of relevance to it, but no, it's interesting you say that.
So basically, shut the fuck up.
No, yeah, it goes next. No, maybe he's training. He's got a fighter in his stable that he's possibly could be linked up with Hutchinson down the line. I don't know. That he's obviously scouting and having to get a closer look at Hutchinson for that reason. So in terms of the speculation, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I didn't know Salas was involved with Hutchinson, to be honest. So I thought it was odd why he wasn't in his corner, been in the Haymaker camp. But no, if he was there literally for one fight, I don't know. Maybe that dentist appointment was very it was very important.
They always are. Listen, anybody listening, dentists are extremely important, so make sure you get your checkups and always brush your teeth for at least 2 minutes, apparently, which I didn't do when I was...
We're also an educational podcast.
We are. Next fight, I don't know if we should ask Jumaane his thoughts on the fight, because he's told us about 10 times. When he came out, we were like, we're so proud of you.
You bought him a beer. I gave him a hug.
We got salt beef bagels together,
which was amazing.
And he and I drank pink gin as we got home and watched curling on the fucking Winter Olympics.
That's life. That is life in the fast lane. Jumaane stepped up less than 2 days' notice, stepped up 2 divisions to fight Freddie Kivitt to almost sort of save the show. I think when you look at the show and the quality of the undercard last night, a lot of boys we like, Dino Richardson, Linus Udofi, a couple of tough 4-rounders for them, and Esu Twala, but they were all very one-sided. The undercard was pretty poor, let's be honest. And I thought Jumaane Kivitt was the only reasonably matched fight on the card. I don't know if anyone disagrees. Nope, didn't think so. That's the benefit. That's the benefit of holding the mic.
We agree in the back.
But I thought it was a really enjoyable fight, man. Really interesting fight. Interesting clash of styles. I thought Kivitt came out, started strong first couple of rounds.
When did we start calling him Kivitt? It's always been with a W.
How do you pronounce
Why
that though?
Why are you changing it right now?
Because he's German, isn't he?
Kevin to Kivitt.
It's Kivitt.
Kivitt.
No. Kivitt.
Freddie Kivitt cannot pivot.
It was mate, I text Jumaane the second I found out and I just put, you fucking savage. How you're going to be the Southern Area lightweight champ? Barely been in sparring because there's no fights booked. And then was it 48 hours notice or was it less?
Yeah, pretty much. They didn't even get confirmed till the weigh-in, really. So
essentially confirmed the day of weigh-in. You're going to be fighting a guy that's been in camp ready for the English title, mate. And you lost by 2 points. On the whole, I think we think that was fair. I thought Kivitt probably nicked it. I think 2 more rounds and it would have been even closer. And I think you could have got the job done because you're super fit. Good clash of styles, but you've done yourself so much justice, man. The exposure, fighting on that show, best fight of the night. I don't think many people are going to fucking disagree with that. You know what I mean? The only negative, but he lost. There's one negative, and it's quite a big one. He lost one dread.
I know. He had one dreadlock cut off by his fucking corner.
Oh man.
So when do you change camp then? Is that
traumatized?
Listen, it was a hell of a fight, and it was interesting because, like I said, Freddie, I'm not even going to try and say his surname now, you've made me paranoid.
Kivitt.
Kivy.
Just call him Fred.
Fred started well. First couple of rounds, Jumaane, I thought the plan was always going to be take it into the second half of the fight and start putting it on him, but I thought after the end of round 3, sort of 4, 5, 6, 7, you started dominating and you started pushing the pace, and you could tell that he wasn't really too happy with that. I thought he was missing a lot, but
I wasn't at the same time capitalising on it.
Yeah,
I wasn't finding my range. It was something it was frustrating, but I was at the same time enjoying it. I didn't want to let it take over the fact that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, because I knew it's been quite short notice, so it is what it is. But
he was certainly getting frustrated. I think sort of 6, 7 that he was finding it hard to connect. One thing I have to say, Ronald McIntosh, his commentary was brilliant last night. Elastic waist, which was really an elusive style you had.
Get ready, Manchester. Elastic hips is on its way.
Should change my name to get Predator.
Yeah, but you're right. I thought I've seen you box a few times, mate, and you've always kind of won comfortably against guys that you should be winning against. But it was fascinating to see how well you slipped so many of his shots, man. Like, there was times where you just had your hands down and you were frustrating him when he was coming forward throwing shots, and for a muscle-bound guy like that to be throwing with a lot of power and missing, that takes a lot out of him as well. So it was really good to see how well you were moving in there. I wondered, for you, if you were able to go in and do it differently, what would you do? I know you wanted a couple of extra rounds, but forget that just now. Like, realistically speaking, it was an 8-rounder, so how would you approach it differently?
How would I approach it? That's a good question, to be fair. I feel like the plan we had was the right plan, so I wouldn't change that. Maybe I feel like I would have just tried to execute it better. To say I would have changed, been orthodox more, or tried to do more, wouldn't be the right way to go by it. I feel like it was just I didn't do enough of what I was doing. Making him miss was the plan to begin with, and to go throughout, because we knew he would get tired. but because I didn't punish him, I didn't make the refs see what I wanted them to see. You know, it's not good enough just to make a miss. So I thought it was fair. To be fair, I thought it was a little bit wider for him. Maybe it's just because in the moment I was in my own frustrations. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, but I enjoyed it. And at the end of the day, it takes two to tango. So it wasn't just me that made the fight good. It was we done it together, you know. And we was in the same change rooms when we won our Southern Area title. So we've been I wouldn't say close, but we know each other well, and the team and everything. So it's nice, you know. At least it's not some random dickheads kind of winning. He's a cool dude, so it's all good, man. It's all good.
Not often you hear that, is it? It's not often you hear someone go, I thought it was wider for him, actually. Actually, didn't think I deserved that. I thought it was a really, really good fight, only competitive fight on the card for me. And everybody around us. Steve Goodwin was frantic at the other side of the ring. He was eyeballing everybody like, what have you scored it? What have you scored it? He didn't really know what was going to happen. What is your opinion, Dan, on a ref scoring that contest? An 8-rounder like that, should it be up to, I know you're friends with a couple of the guys that are refs, especially Bob Williams, shout out him, but what's your opinion on the ref having the control to score that fight over 8 rounds?
Well, I think refs do have quite a lot of responsibility as an official to get these scores right, and they do, knowing the feud official themselves, they do find this pressure, because especially on big TV shows. So, you know, you hear a lot of speculation, people saying the refs are in someone's pocket and that, but instinctively in the ring they see things differently than we do, especially when fighters go down from heavy shots. So I think there's a lot of controversy with scoring rounds. Even I think that can be it's not reflective on certain rounds. But as I say, Jumane's fight last night, I think the scores were absolutely spot on in 2 rounds. There were close rounds in there, and really respect taking that fight on such short notice, and exposure was worth the risk for his career. But I mean, my question is to Jumaane, what would you stay at welterweight in the next outing, or were you comfortable with that?
I'm not getting any fights at lightweight, so we're just taking what's coming. There's no mandatory for the Southern Area. We can't. The people that we want as a voluntary, the board are rejecting, or there's just no fights, and I could either do 4-rounders and try and sell tickets all the time, or 6-rounders selling tickets, or try and actually do something. And I just want to have fun, you know. I feel like having an O is an overrated commodity, you know. Obviously I've lost twice now, so
I was going to say you're way past that, bro.
Way past that. But yeah, man, I'm just in it for the game, man, to play, to have a bit of fun. Obviously I'm making sure that I'm not going to get hurt. That's the main thing. As long as I'm not going to get hurt, I don't mind taking it on short notice and getting a little bit. It's all about the experience.
Well, there was a similar scenario last year when Aaron Morgan fought Joe Pigford at the Copper Box. Now, Aaron's fought predominantly on small hall shows, so he hasn't had much TV exposure. Got to 12-0 and obviously lost his record that night.
He was doing well until the stoppage, actually.
He was winning.
In
the aftermath, his exposure after that has skyrocketed because of it. So, as you say, losing at O isn't the end of the world, and sometimes that risk is worth taking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because I went up the 2 weights, I still have my area title at lightweight. So if hopefully now that I've lost, people want to fight me again. Happened last time to get my area title, so we'll see.
Fascinating the politics of people not taking fights or taking fights or whatever else, and it's fascinating for me that the board aren't calling a mandatory, but they're also rejecting voluntaries. I'm like, what do you want? I'm not sure what you want.
It's crazy. I mean, now I think Jumaane's damaged that even more. If I'm a lightweight and I see what he just done at welterweight on 48 hours notice, I ain't fucking fighting him. Why?
Say that.
Mate, you might have to go in the away corner on TV shows. That might be the best bet. If I wasn't fighting you before for the Southern Area, and now I've seen what you do on 2 days against a welterweight, I'm not fighting you. Sorry, mate. You know
Thankfully, Sam's a fair distance off welterweight, so
I fought at middleweight. I'll have you know. I was 4 years old, but I made it. No, it's a weird one because Jumane's struggling for fights, so take the fights. And it might be a case where he gets some of those late notice phone calls, and he's always fit, always in the gym. Maybe that last night will be, I'm not going to say a blessing in disguise because no one's thinking it's not a good thing, do you know what I mean? But it actually might be a real good kick on. It might be just what your career needed because you need that exposure, man. You need that.
100%, yeah.
I was actually thinking there's a fair case to say maybe Jumaane was the only real winner on the night on the card, and it's fascinating because I'm not saying that because he's here because I'm pretty confident I could still batter him, but even the guys that won, I feel like a lot, like Dino and Lioness, they won and they looked pretty slick doing so, and they're top prospects, man. But they won against guys they were supposed to win against, and maybe the fights weren't as electrifying as they would have hoped they would be. Sometimes having a loss but putting up that sort of performance is it can only do you positive things. So
in 10 miles, take the exit to merge onto M6 towards the northwest.
I totally agree with that, to be honest, mate. Let's move on very briefly to the main event because I'm struggling for air and I might need some oxygen. So Sam, Joe Joyce, the juggernaut.
He looks like he's punching out of jelly.
Yeah.
I struggle to see a slower heavyweight, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because who is it? Richard Gray was on the phone to earlier, and he made a great point. He's so athletic. The man's doing backflips at whatever height he is, but he just seems really slow. Like I think you could telegraph them hooks, and I think any heavyweight who's worth his salt will be out of the way of them shots by the time they arrive. I really do. I don't know where Joyce goes. I know they want Chisora. The money's got to be right. I think if Chisora turns up the way he did against Dillian, he could give Joyce problems, mate. I really believe that. But it's going to be interesting to see who they get for him on that Hey Bellew card. He's 32. What does he hope to achieve? The British title? Does he expect he's going to get European and world? I don't know, mate. Time will tell what they really do with him. It could be a 6 fight and out career for me. A couple of big fights, might lose 1 or 2 and then sail off into the sunset.
Let's pass around the car quickly. Don't take too long because it will remind me of a Joe Joyce hook. Jumaane Camero, Joe Joyce, did you catch it? You got any thoughts on it?
It only lasted the 1 round, so I didn't get out in time, to be fair. I feel what everyone else is saying is true. He's usually quite slow, but when he does connect, you know it's thumping power, and it looks like it hurts. Not only does it hurt, it actually looks like it hurts, and you know that's bad when it's like that. But it's right, like what Richie said about he's so athletic, jumping, doing backflips, gymnastics and all that. It's surprising that his shots aren't as fast, or he's not putting the combinations together, and it's so you can telegraph him. So he telegraphs his shots. But I think we'll see where he goes. I think the biggest danger is David Hayes, not his belief in him, but the fact that he's kind of pushing him into big fights quite early. And even though it's a good thing to do to get the progress you may want, it may just be a little bit misguided because you just want to get to the top a bit quicker in the promoting game. And it may not be the right thing. It's just kind of, you're almost sacrificing a career just to kind of put yourself in a position to then bring on other fighters, you know. But I'm sure the right decision will be made in the future. And generally, the boxer does have some sort of input in who they're fighting and what they're going to do anyway. So I'm sure the right decisions were made, or at least decisions that he wants to do.
Dan, you caught him at a couple of World Boxing Series things when he was an amateur, so you've seen a little bit more than me personally. What was your thoughts on last night? What's your thoughts on Joyce's potential moving forward?
Well, I mean, he did stay on. He got a very extensive amateur career, isn't he? I mean, he's won everything. What's he now, 32? So I think he did stay on too long, and he really wanted to win that gold medal in Rio. So hence that's why now he's his age now, and he's got to push on quickly. I mean, I agree pretty much what you guys are saying, but he's a very busy fighter, quite an engine on him. So he potentially already had a lot of the domestic the mix. But interestingly, being with David Hay, wonder now he might even bypass the British scene like David Hay did the cruiserweight and move on to a European level. I did hear something this morning that they might, if they can't get Chisora, they're going to try and line up Alexander Ustinov for him, who's bigger than Joyce, was in more experience at world level, but believe it or not, he's slower. But, you know, but for a third pro fight, if that can happen on the Hay Bellew 2 show, then that's a good yardstick.
Yeah, but watching a fight in slow motion.
Yeah, that's it. But no, I think he's still a work in progress. But whether he stays around the Brit level, I don't know. But he's the World Boxing Series experience really has pushed him on further than the Brit level. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it always does, and that's why when these guys turn over after they've been in those, because that's 5 rounds, Dan, right?
5 rounds, yeah.
3 minutes.
Yep.
So if they do 5 3s and that, you know, and they're travelling about fighting.
There was also the controversy that these tournaments should be included in your professional record as well, to begin with. But essentially, the World Series is a professional format.
Yeah, I know there was a bit of controversy with the Cuban guys that take part in that, because they were obviously they are prohibited from doing professional sport, but they were saying that's almost like a grey area because there's no head, you know, it's pretty much professional. Yeah, Joe Joyce for me, slow, very, very slow, not impressed. Big, strong guy, and like what Jumaane says, he looks like he punches with cement in his gloves, do you know what I mean? But if you throw one big hook and somebody can catch you with 3 clean shots before it lands, I struggle to see where you go from there. You'd have to be fighting someone who's relatively defensively fragile in order to have success, and at European level or world level, you're just not going to do it. Look at that boy Caballel that beat Chisora. Caballel dances round him for me, and he's not a biggest hitter, but he just moves well, and I don't think Joyce moves very well. But that was a card last night. Haymaker, ring star at York Hall. Jumaane Camero, the only true victor, and he almost forgot to get paid as well. He walked out the fucking venue without his money. Unbelievable. Jumaane Camero now sponsors the Fight Talk podcast, so welcome to the team. And so overall, it was a good night of boxing. We are back in action after a brief break there. Jumaane was showing us Snake on his 3110. Yeah, man, we're still on the road to Manchester. How's everyone doing?
Coffee refueled, mate. We're good.
Coffee refueled. We are back. We've smashed some coffee, some donuts. Went to the toilet. Looked up a few birds on Instagram. We're good to go. We're going to talk about Frank Warren's show, man. Frank Warren's show next week. So 24th, York Hall. Was supposed to be the show on February 10th, wasn't it? Until Tete pulled out, and they've rescheduled that. So obviously all the young guns are on it. Dubois, Yarde, all these boys.
I think they didn't manage to match Bradley Skeet either. As far as I'm aware, he was due to be on that card. I don't think he's on this one, the 24th. They're going to struggle to match Skeet now. He's stuck around at British level too long, in my opinion. It's now difficult for him to get these fights. But I don't know what happens with Skeet. I don't know. It's a weird situation he finds himself in, I think.
Could you pair Skeet up with Corcoran?
They could, I guess. I suppose he's now been in there with Horn. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the thing is, once you hang around at British level, we spoke about this last night. You know, you want to win it outright. I don't necessarily know what that does for you anymore. Like, personally, that's my
£1 a month for the rest of your life.
£1 a month for the rest of your life. I mean, it's great, but realistically, what does it do for your career? He may have wasted the opportunity of having big fights at that stage. Instead, he was beating, wasn't Singleton? Thane, was it? It was.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know how we got onto Bradley Skeet, but it's just a passing thought that I'm a bit worried about where he goes from here, because he's a quality operator, but I'm just a little bit concerned about his progression, to be honest.
Do you know the thing that worries me about it is that was his chance to capture a portion of the world title. Jeff Horn's going to get battered off Terence Crawford. Yep. And Bradley Skeet is never ever going to compete with Terence Crawford, so that might have been a window, the only window that will pop open for him for the next couple of years. So it's a very tricky place to be. Hopefully Skeet gets a couple of fights organised and can get himself moving again. Let's talk about the card. So Dan, you're popping down to York Hall for the card, I believe. tell us about the highlights from you and what you're looking forward to, mate.
Well, I think with the thing with Frank Warren's shows now, you've got the likes of Anthony Yard and Daniel Debras who are kind of spearheading his emergence of new talent. So again, two exciting fighters, unbeaten, punch well, but really with opposition that are me brought in to make them look good. You know, in the long term, will this be beneficial? I think, as is the case with Frank Warren fighters, they are matched nicely for WBO rankings. So Yard's opponent.
Who's Yard fighting? I know Dubois got that DL Jones.
Yeah, Dubois got DL Jones, who's he's a big guy, undefeated, 8-0 with no knockouts, but so we don't really know anything about him. That's maybe the right opposition at this stage when you're 6-0, but I think like Dorian Darch last fight, AJ Carter. I mean, at southern level, which he is, but you can plainly see the Debras is already at levels above these kind of guys. So you want someone to come along with ambition. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see. I think Debras is always good to watch, but in terms of the card itself, not really a meaningful fight on there. Probably Barrett.
That's a good fight.
Love Barrett.
Yeah, Ronnie Clark, who's a right nutter of a fighter.
Scottish.
Scottish. But yeah, I saw his fight with Martin Ward. That was a barnstormer. So that's probably the one fight on there that's going to be any kind of competitive nature to it. Got Boy Jones on there, down there, and Umar Sadiq in his second pro fight. I got the ticket off Umar, so hopefully he's does well in his fight. And the Yard, I think at the moment he's certainly one of the bigger fighters, prospects in Frank Warren's stable. Don't know much about his opponent. I don't know if you lot do, or
I don't know.
Tony Averent or whatever it's, but Yard's exciting, but he's the fights we really want to see, and that could be proved problematic due to politics. Obviously the fight everyone wants to see is Frank Buglioni.
Yeah.
Whether it gets made or whether Yard.
I don't think it does.
Nah. Can you really imagine Frank Warren and Matchroom solving that problem?
I can't see it happening.
So I think a fight, unfortunately, we won't see. So then they'll maybe bypass British straight to the WBO title, which isn't easy.
Jumaane, what's your thoughts on the Warren stable just now? Obviously, he's got a lot of boys coming through. Dubois, Yard, like we've touched on. Boys like Barrett, boys like Leon Woodstock as well. Is the way Frank Warren builds fighters the correct way to do it in terms of getting people on board nationally? Because for me, you always look to his ticket sales, and they always seem to be falling well short of Matchroom's ticket sales.
And
the fighters
short of KSI's ticket sales.
and falling well short of KSI's ticket sales. But not even just that. You look at how well known these guys are, and they're not as broadly known by boxing fans as some of Eddie's guys are. So Josh Kelly, for example, some of the lesser guys like that are much higher profile than a guy like Zelfa Barrett. So is Frank doing things the right way for these guys, or is he doing things the way that he knows how to do it, and he's been doing it for years, but maybe it's not the way that modern boxing fans want it to be done? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think he's kind of stuck in his ways and how he's doing things. That said, I believe the last kind of 12 months he's kind of picked it up, and he seems to have got the ball rolling with BT and what he's doing, and getting better shows on. Although these shows still don't seem to have the potential to be like complete sellouts, he doesn't really have the depth of Matchroom, and whether that's because of what he's doing with fighters already means that not many are going to him. It just means that he needs to wait, build up his fighters a little bit more, and so that's why he's got people like Dubois, Yard, all these guys who aren't really. You can't really have them headlining shows by themselves and expect them to sell out. Whereas you can get Billy Joe, and that would be a good card. You just need to put a few people on the undercard, and you can at least say there should be a decent world title fight.
But you had De Gale and Selby on a show, and you still couldn't sell out. So what do you think the situation is there? It's mad.
I feel like his actual promotional qualities seem like they're a bit more reserved than Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
And you need to kind of get out there. If the people themselves aren't doing it, then they need to get some sort of push towards it. But he seems to be quite on the building of the people coming up at the moment. So hopefully there's going to be a bit of a spike in maybe the next, I'll say next year, when the rest of them start properly challenging for titles. What I do like is he's still got that kind of domestic. He's got a lot of domestic fights that are on board, like Leon Weststock and Zelfa Barrett will be a good one coming up. Warrington Selby.
Yeah.
So it's more about seeing what he can do to kind of add something, because at the moment he's almost just on cruise control of what he usually does, hoping things come through, seeing how fights work, and just trying to almost survive and put on enough shows through the year. But I feel he has the quality in terms of quality of fighters, but at the moment it's just lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's still potential. There's definitely potential there.
He's definitely got the talent, I think. But then it's hard to gauge whether he has the talent, because he doesn't really put him in testing fights. So it's easy for us to look at Anthony Yarde and Daniel Dubois and say, alright, these guys are terrifying, they're in great shape, they're strong, they're powerful, they're exciting. But who are they fighting though?
See, that comes down to a risk rewards kind of factor, though, doesn't it? He can put them in testing fights, which really, as a fighter, you want, because it'll help you move on, progress quicker. Though if they do lose and they start losing backing and things like that, where does that really leave him? And you always want to do the best for the boxers, really.
I would argue
it's just the type of the situation he's kind of the name he's made for himself. It's like if he was to do something like that, it will go downhill almost.
Yeah, me and Dan, we spoke about this in New York, Dan. I would argue that you could lose backing by continuing to put these guys in fights like that, if from proper boxing fans. If I'm a proper boxing fan and I want to watch Anthony Yarde develop, and I'm watching him 10 fights fighting the same sort of guys, was he 12 or 13 fights in? 14 fights in? I'm not really that buzzing anymore until I hear a big name. I don't care who he's fighting.
No, you say that, but it's happened for years, and people kind of almost
what we
stay with it.
Exactly. What we all got to remember, that Frank Warner's done this for years. This is pre-Matchroom, the rise of Matchroom. He's matched his fighters. Ricky Hatton and Calzaghe, probably the biggest examples. They've been matched well against, especially look at WBO rankings, against substandard, well-level opposition. So, with the power of social media these days now, we all have a bit more clued up of what we want to see. Anthony Yarde, I think we're going to see another couple, probably half a dozen of these kind of fights until he fights a meaningful opponent. So that's why it's strange you mentioned that De Gale card last year. You've got two established world champions on there on a copper box show, but yet they can't shift the tickets. Now, what is that down to? Jumaane was saying Frank Warren is very old school.
Woo! Nice tune.
We've got a caller in.
I'll ring him back after.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't. Eddie Hearn's obviously he's a proper salesman, so he can sell these shows. Frank, I think, really needs to up his game in that sense. But the BT bill's been massive for them, and but the problem is with that now. I think you're going to have a massive divide, political divide with getting these fights made.
Yeah.
Like Mick Hennessy had Tyson Fury, and he because of the position Hennessy was in, Fury was able to move over to Frank Warren and fight on these shows.
Yeah.
See, for me, like, it's really good having a great relationship with the WBO like Frank does. But my personal opinion is it's a detriment to his fighters and their opportunities. Whether it's that he only solely looks for WBO, or they're the opportunities that are gifted all the time, hence the WBO Europeans that come up. If you look at Eddie Hearn's fighters, he'll have IBF, he'll have WBA. It doesn't matter. Wherever the opportunities are, rather, Eddie Hearn's guys will fight on it. Now, he's solely WBO, and I don't know. It can be a positive in one way because he's going to get high rankings with the WBO simply because they're Frank Warren fighters, i.e. Anthony Yarde.
Yeah.
But if Anthony Yarde was ranked with a WBA as well, and it would just open up more opportunities, in my opinion. I think it's to the detriment of his own fighters being so closely linked with the WBO. There's a reason we call it the Warren Boxing Organisation. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy to me. So I kind of agree with both points. That you can only flog a what's the saying? Flog a dead donkey for so long, or
Flog
something.
a dead horse, I believe.
I'm going to go with donkey.
Yep, fair enough.
Because it's true. How many times do you want to watch Daniel Dubois ruin a man that shouldn't be near him? And how we were, all of us, including the New Age Boxing boys, don't let AJ Carter in the ring with Daniel Dubois. That shit ain't safe. It's not safe. But they did it because it looks good. And I don't know. It's difficult to match guys. I understand that, especially as you feel like they're growing. But I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a turn of the tide where, like Jumaane said, there'll be a spike where they get a big fight and we're going to get interested. But I don't know, it's just they all feel like takeover fights. Every one of them feels like a takeover fight. It feels like you're watching home corner beat up away corner.
There's only so often you can get by on a TV show with Darryl Williams, Jermaine Smile. Do you know what I mean? They're not always going to be cracking fights.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll stink out a venue, or they'll just tick over 10 rounds or 12 rounds, and I think people just get a bit fed up with it. Let's get her on. She sacked us off. She sacked us off. Mrs. O tried to call us there.
Mrs. Eubank.
Do you know the other thing as well about this, with this matchmaking? If you're having the likes of Dubois and Yard on the like headliners pretty much at this level, then you're going to get a level of criticism. If they're tucked away, like say like back then, Lennox Lewis was fighting on small hall shows or way down the pecking order, they don't get as much exposure.
Yeah.
But because these guys like Joshua, when he came through and he was putting against
Butlin and all these guys,
Butlin's, Matt Skelton, whether
He went through them all, didn't he?
yeah, but I mean he was going to get the criticism because he's been pushed up. He's like in the main event.
Yeah, he was also getting the exposure. That's a fair point.
Yeah. So if you're putting Daniel Dubois against DL Jones and he's high up on the bill, people think, well, that's not really a main fight.
But
Because Frank doesn't have that pinnacle star, that standout massive name. He's hoping that these guys are enough to sell out, and they're simply not.
Yeah.
But at least, when Eddie Hearn does it, he can somehow convince half the public to think that fight is actually going to be
It's
amazing,
all WBA, Intercontinental belts
that's
now,
right.
and silver titles, and that to the public, more casual public, think, wow, okay, this is. I'm sold on this.
Listen, what would Frank Warren have to do to sell out Wembley Arena?
Sign Joe Fournier.
He'd have to fight Eddie Hearn himself. That's because it isn't possible. It's not viable. It wouldn't work.
Answer your question is, if he's got Tyson Fury, make the deal with Eddie Hearn, and that's where you can get involved in an event. But, but if you're talking about a standalone event with just Frank Warren, that's
it's a
who
long
has
way
he
away.
got in the stable that can sell 90,000 tickets?
Yeah. Fuck, Warren's doing a couple of things right, doing a couple of things wrong. Definitely potential in the stable. And Dan, you can let us know how the show is next week, mate. Your call. Obviously, we're in the car. We have 1 hour 6 minutes, 42.5 miles left. Up the M6 on the way to Manchester.
Oh, that's quite quick, you know.
The car's alright, isn't it? It's quite impressive, actually.
We're only doing 120 miles.
But we're obviously going up for one reason and one reason only. George Groves. George Groves fighting Chris Eubank Jr. That's a fucking hell of a
I
fight.
have to remember, I'm sitting in media, man, because I'm going to be up on the chairs and tables,
Jumping up.
George Groves t-shirt on, swinging over the top of my head. When that Prodigy song comes on, mate, all bets are off. So I need to try and remember we're here as media.
It's an incredible fight, and it's almost a shame that it's a semi-final, because for me this should be the final. I think the Callum Smith fight doesn't generate as much interest. Great fight, great build-up. World Boxing Super Series, we spoke about it a million times before. Best production I've seen in boxing. The lights, the smoke machines, the podiums, everything else is fantastic. Carla Sutherland will be on the gear, which makes for good fun. And there's a lot of people going up there, a lot of good people, so by the time everybody listens to this, it will be all done and dusted. So what we wanted to do was jump round the car and get a final prediction. We'll close this section off with a prediction, and we'll open up tomorrow's section with some people owing some other people money. So let's swing round. Sam, fire in first, mate. Give us a little breakdown of how you think it's going to go, and who emerges victorious.
There's only one winner, isn't there? But it's how he wins that I've changed my mind on a couple of times. I'm never ever going to look past George Groves. I said to you in the group chat, was it group chat I said it? I don't care if it's Chris Eubank, Carl Froch or Jesus himself. Said George Groves wins every fight, okay? That's the rules. I think he's too big, I think he's too strong. I don't think Eubank is a super middleweight. Yeah, I don't think he is a super middle. I really don't. He was at middle, obviously, predominantly in his career. Stepped up, I guess, for bigger fights, because his biggest fight at middle he lost to Billy Joe. I'm not convinced of his punching power. His hand speed is impressive. His work rate is very impressive. And George is known to tire late on. But I don't think George is going to stand there and let these fucking abusive uppercuts hit him the way that other people tend to do. I think he's too smart, too long, too rangy, too strong, too powerful, he hits too hard, and he's too schooled, he's too intelligent of a boxer to let Eubank dance around him.
So who are you picking to win then?
Eubank, 100%. If Eubank wins, then he may be the real deal.
Yep.
You know, he maybe have come on leaps and bounds from the Billy Joe defeat. I think this is I've said it, I think this is a career-defining fight for George. I think he's going to prove that he's at his best. You know, it took him a long time to win his title. He scraped himself off the canvas a few times, but I think he's going to prove that he's better than Eubank Jr. at this weight, at this stage. So,
how does he do it, mate? Finally,
he wins on points.
On points?
He wins on points.
Fair enough. That's one for Groves on points. I'm going to pass the old recording device back to Jumaane Camero, who I believe George Groves recently slagged off for wearing shorts everywhere. He's actually not wearing shorts just now, George. You'll be happy to hear. So, Jumaane, give us a breakdown, mate. I'm sure you're going to back the Saint, but how do you think he gets it done?
I agree with everything that Sam's literally just said.
Brilliant, right, Dan?
I don't think there's anything else really more to say. I do think, again, I think Groves wins quite easy. It'll be a close fight, but again, even though each round is close, Groves will probably nick most of them anyway, and therefore it will seem quite wide, and that's where people may get a little bit confused when it comes to scoring. Like Sam, I keep thinking maybe he'll stop him, maybe he won't, things like that. He's definitely got the power to do it, and because Eubank is quite small, he's small for middleweight, and Groves could go up to light heavy if he really wanted to. I think super's good for him though. So I believe, I keep thinking he would stop him, but Eubank can take a shot, and he does have some mad work rate, so I can't really say that he would stop him. So I think I'll go with Groves on points as well.
Nice. Groves on points again. 2 for Groves on points. Mr. Frost in the back is he's looking ready to give us a bold prediction. Dan, are you going against the grain, mate, or are you another George Groves backer this evening?
No, well, that's the thing of going pretty much last. I think a lot of what's been said is what I'd pretty much predict. I think since this fight was announced, it was potentially one of the best fights in this tournament, most exciting fights. You know, I think we're all excited about this. So where I've been looking at it is Eubank he stepped up a year ago now to super middleweight. Obviously won his IBO title, world title, I say. But he's been matched well. Quinlan, wasn't really a yardstick to how well he'd be fighting at the weight, but Arthur Abraham proved that that Eubank is a fit fighter, but there's still nothing. He's proven nothing to me in the sense he can trouble George Groves, who is an elite super middleweight. But I think the size can tell. Groves has seen these kind of fights before. I know a lot has been made with Groves being past his best, which in a sense he is, and I think those Froch fights took a lot out of him. But since being under Shane McGuigan, he hasn't looked as fast, but he's got a great jab, and
best jab.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to dictate it. It's going to be a really grueling fight, I think, for George Groves. And what Eubank has gone on record with saying, he's not going to start slow like he did with Billy Joe Saunders. But for me, I just think it's going to be a very hard-fought decision for Groves. Obviously, a lot of people say that Eubank's going to knock him out in the middle rounds. I'll be amazed with that result, but I think the result will be a lot bigger for Eubank than it will be for Groves. But yeah, I think that's three for Groves. I think
3 for Groves.
Yeah.
And Craig.
I reckon Eubank does them quite easily, to be honest. No, yeah, I think
Sounds like shit. Is there a farm nearby?
there must be a farm nearby.
Don't say that.
This is the thing when you record. This is the thing when you record in a car. You see loads of mad shit, so you'll probably hear lots of different stuff going on. There was a woman in a Mercedes that nearly killed everybody in the M6 here. It stinks of shit currently. You've heard Sam's phone going a couple of times. But listen, if you want it raw and intense on the road, then this is how you need to put up with it. So, Groves Eubank for me. I think it's fascinating that Eubank. I guess it's fascinating. It is fascinating that Eubank's a pretty big favourite with the bookies as well.
What?
Eubank's a favourite, mate.
Eubank's the favourite.
Yeah.
Dude, George Groves is 12-8 or 11-8 just to win the fight.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to bet on him.
He's also
returns.
He's over 4-1 to stop him, and he's over 3-1 to win on points. Groves.
That's got to be worth a score.
Of course it is.
Money, innit?
So crazy for me that Eubank's such a big favourite. I think Eubank is a super middleweight, but not a super middleweight. See what I did there?
I don't know what you're saying.
I just broke the words down, mate. I took the hyphen out.
He's a super middleweight.
Yeah.
You're just being a.
You know when Jay-Z, it was like when Jay-Z said he was a businessman, not a businessman. See,
yeah.
I just did the same thing.
Alright.
MC now.
Yeah. It's because we've been listening to so much rap on the way up here.
MC Scott sounds so good.
Yeah, I think Groves beats him. I reckon Groves could stop him, so I'll disagree with you boys on the points thing. I think Groves could stop him. He hits
Early or late?
mid to late. Not early. I think he's going to lose the first few
The other
rounds.
thing is, well, we just don't know how good Eubank
That's what I mean.
really is at
That's
super
what I
middleweight. So I mean, he could surprise us all. Not say surprise us because it is a close
It
fight.
would be a surprise,
But,
really.
but we don't know how good he is. So this is really his, as he says, can come out of his father's shadow with this fight.
Yeah.
But I'm just making a prediction based on a career
What
super
we've
middleweight with Groves and a guy stepping up.
It's the only way you can make a prediction there, really, can you?
Nah, I just tend to just guess randomly. Yeah, I think what Dan is trying to say is he could be a super middleweight. It's a hell of a fight. It's a hell of a fight. I wonder if it's quite interesting if it does go to points and it's a close fight, because you have to remember George's a Sauerland fighter, and the Sauerlands are heavily involved in this. Cal is like the chief of boxing for the World Boxing Super Series. I wonder how much that plays into stuff. Probably we'll never find out if it does, but it's interesting. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest, or is he the only Sauerland fighter involved?
Bramer, isn't he? Ain't Bramer Sauerland?
Is Bramer one as well?
I might be wrong, but
Abraham, if he would have won the qualifying contest.
Okay.
yeah.
Ah, interesting. Great fight. We are all looking forward to it. FightTalk.net live and exclusive. Waxy O'Connor's 3:30 PM. I'll be there.
It's a bit late now, isn't it?
Well,
We're on the way.
yeah, we'll let you know in like 2 minutes' time how that goes. Jumaane will be there with his penis tucked in his waistband, ready to party. If there's any loose women in the area, he will be there.
Elastic waist.
He's got some tea. Elastic waist and steel dick. He's had some TV time now as well, so he's ready. He's ready to go.
That's part one done.
Live and
You
exclusive.
can sense the ego in his car now.
Roll the windows down, it's getting hot. Yeah, we'll catch up with you in literally 2 minutes, but it'll be 24 hours time. I'll probably be a lot more hungover, and I'll be getting past the microphone too in the back because I'll be sleeping. But have a good minute and a half until we speak again. Oh yeah, baby! Oh yes, West London all day.
West London, la la la.
Hammersmith, West London. We are in the building. The building is a car. I don't really know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, we're back, man. We're back. Now, it was only a minute ago since we last spoke, but
I missed you, baby.
Oh, fucking hell. I went in the car on the way home from Manchester. What a night, man. What a night. George Groves, Chris Eubank Jr. Sam Moore, how happy were you last night?
I was buzzing off my tits, mate. Listen, we all called it. The Saint did what we said he was going to do. Me and Jumaane didn't find a bookie, so we didn't win money. But
Whoa. I put money on. What? £40 on George to win. 5 points, 200 back.
I'm speechless. When? Where and when?
I grabbed someone's phone and just done it online.
Oh my God. Oh mate, I'm so hurt. I'm so hurt.
What are you?
You might be the only one that didn't win money last
I
night.
was looking. Oh,
You can't miss out on easy money like that.
I know, easy money, light work. As I said, too big, too strong. Whether you believe it or not, he was too strong. He was too good. He was too disciplined. He was just. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful to watch. You know, dislocated his shoulder in the last round, which was scary, man. I was petrified when that happened. For me, I said it afterwards. It reminded me a little bit of Froch Groves in the sense that the upstart was, you know, the guy who came in, thought he was going to be the younger, fresher guy, didn't get the win, and I thought that Groves old manned him. He was intelligent. He's too intelligent, and it was probably the most disciplined fight of his career. Beautiful to watch. West London. Woo!
So did you like it then?
That was alright.
It proved a lot of people wrong, didn't it? The whole scenario with the Eubank hype train, and Groves as a faded fighter. A lot of people were calling him. He's had his better days, and I think just the sheer size and class, jumping up a weight, just showed last night.
It's just amazing, man. It's such a small thing, or a lot of small things which he does, just to stop Chris Eubank being able to do what he wanted to do. Really, everyone was talking about the crazy work ethic and the amount of punches he throws in 5 seconds or whatever, but you can't do that to someone that moves their feet, you know. And George has got great feet and an amazing jab, and I knew I rate Eubank on how much he's improved over the last few years since he lost to Billy Joe. But again, like I said yesterday or a minute ago, I just can't see him beating George, really.
Some would say that Eubank is a super middleweight, but not a super middleweight.
You said that 5 minutes ago.
Nah, listen, it was. I thought it was a really good performance. I actually had Eubank up by 3.
I don't know what people were watching.
But listen, it was a good fight. I don't think it was the most explosive fight in the world, but like Sam said, it was very disciplined. It was good to see George become that guy who he always seems to have been chasing that sort of role in fights for me, where he's been chasing that role where he wants to be the disciplined, experienced world champion, and it was good to see him sort of become that, and Eubank was threatening that. But for me, you cannot lead with an uppercut or a hook from round 1 against a guy like George Groves, man. You have to establish the jab, and he was trying to lead with these wild hooks, and Groves is never going to fall for that. It was a bit strange to see him rely on that so often. I thought it was weird that me and Sam were losing our fucking minds at the back because the touchdowns weren't scored. We haven't looked at it back, so if anybody's listening to this and he slipped on a banana skin or something, we haven't seen it back. So the last one for us, we definitely thought should have been a point, but we haven't had the benefit of playback. So great performance from Groves. Does he win the tournament now, regardless of who wins next week, do you think, Sam?
I think the problem we've got is we don't know how bad the shoulder is, and there's probably 3 options. You delay the final, you put Eubank Jr. in the final, or you put Zach Parker, who was the official reserve, in the final. I hope they delay. I hope George isn't as bad. Listen, shoulders are very, very different. We've seen people come back within 6 weeks. We've seen people take months and months. So hopefully it's not as bad. But I listen, it was great for me. For George's career, the big fights he's been in, he's lost them. That's the truth of it. The biggest fights, he's lost them to. And last night felt like a massive fight. Everyone was out. There was people from all over Britain. There was a lot of Scottish people, obviously loads of Londoners. It felt like a big fight, didn't it? and George got the win, and I'm just fucking buzzing for him. And listen, if that shoulder's too bad and he can't compete in the final, then I'm happy to say that I saw him win a big fight.
It felt like the final though, didn't it?
I was going to say, does he need to win it? Does he need to win the final, or has he done enough now? If he misses it, is it that big a deal?
It might affect the tournament. You know, when can you imagine it ends up being a Callum Smith against Zach Parker final? I mean, shit.
Would that be the case though? Because as I understand, reading today on Sky, if George couldn't make the final, then Chris Eubank would get the shout.
Why
to step in?
That's what of a reserve. I don't.
Yeah, but then with that, how Zach Parker? I mean, does he deserve to be challenged that kind of amount of money as a reserve? I mean, I don't know really what's deemed fair. Yeah. But Zach Parker versus Bramus Smith is not exactly a huge event, is it?
Yeah, agreed.
But
interesting to find out what happens, isn't it?
It all depends on the injury now. But that win is probably going to mean more, I think, to George than anything else he's won before, because of he was being written off.
Unbelievably.
By all sorts of levels of critics.
Is it fair to say Chris Eubank Jr. does not do the fundamentals well, or am I just sort of being overly harsh? Or because I can't think of many top level fighters that don't have a jab of some sort.
No jab
whatsoever.
I mean, fair enough if you want to lead with your left hand to set something up, but he was just literally almost jumping in and ending up in the ropes most of the time, you know. And the fact you couldn't be versatile enough to just try the jab, or I don't know. Again, we haven't watched it back, so we didn't hear anything in the corner, so we don't know if he wasn't listening or if that's what he was told.
He's his own coach, and
and he generally doesn't listen. You know,
Junior has been trained. He has an internal navigation system. Well, he fucking crashed last night. His navigation system crashed.
he trains himself, doesn't he?
Listen, I've just realised I've still got a stamp from the strippers on my hand that says paid in big capital letters, man.
Just so anyone's aware, I did not go to that strip club. I had a civilised evening with Rob Tebbett, having a red wine and, you know, sitting there nicely sharing a red wine with the head of the British Boxing Board while you were at a titty bar.
I had the worst fucking kebab ever, man. Listen, how good was last night? Shout out to everyone that was there. Let's try and rhyme off some names. Beyond the Ropes, shout out to them. Shout out to New Age Boxing Podcast. Martin's arm fell off, which was unfortunate.
Terry disappeared.
Probably with a bird, but we'll never know. Who else was there? Fucking Shane was there, cracking boy. Yeah. Nathan was there, good boy. Fuck me, man, there was loads of folk there. Yeah. Dino Richardson, Sean Earls.
Got a shout out Shawnee Earls and his
Shawnee Earls.
Cousin Connor.
Yes, you boys managed to wrangle.
Disappeared this morning. Ended up on the train earlier than he was supposed to.
You managed to wrangle yourselves into the fucking venue somehow.
Big up Rob Tebbett, man. He got us a hotel room for free.
Rob Tebbett got us a hotel room for free.
What a man.
He's
and he bought me a couple of red wines and expensed them, so he's my new favourite person.
He's a character. Fuck, it was just a good night. What a great vibe. Everybody in Waxy O'Connor's, we just dominated Waxy O'Connor's. Shout out to Riku, his mate Andy,
Darren Jennings.
Man.
Jennings, what a guy.
He fucking loves that hat.
I'm not bold.
He loves that hat.
Not bold.
Fucking just a really good night, man. Really good night all round. Super middleweight as a weight class for the World Boxing Super Series, was it a mistake, Dan?
What, in terms of the other weights that could have been selected?
In terms of the selection, in terms of how they put in it, I don't think it's the best selection.
No, I've been saying this for a while. It's not really a mistake. I mean, it's one step closer to recognising a top boy, but it hasn't worked in the sense like the Super 6 a couple of years ago. You haven't got all the top boys taking part. You've only got one legit world title, which is Jorgo's WBA. Yeah. So you haven't got the Ramirez. Obviously, the Gal couldn't enter because of an injury, but now Benavidez. So it kind of hasn't got the, unlike the cruiserweights, it hasn't got the kind of I don't know, the appeal, I think. Yeah. But it's been successful. But yeah, I think that whoever wins this, they can't be considered the best super middleweight. There's no.
Which is a shame, because that should really be the whole point of it, shouldn't it? It should be.
Yeah.
Alright, we're doing this to like the cruiserweights, exactly like you said there, mate. You know whoever wins that cruiserweight is the best in the world. And fucking even if Usyk or Gassiev win, nobody's going to go, well, he never fought Lebedev. Nobody gives a fuck about Lebedev, man. And his big, massive head.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But
that is a good point.
would you like to see them do? What weight classes do you think next, Sam? What sort
I think we've all concluded we want the light heavy.
Light heavy, definitely.
Light heavy, and I've changed my mind. A few weeks ago I said welter, just because I wanted to see them all fight each other, Spence, Garcia, Furman and all that. But I don't know now. It's talk of like super feather, lightweight someone's mentioned. I don't know. As long as light heavy is one of the two, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's a quality division. I think the thing with light heavy is those boys probably aren't on crazy money.
It's like the cruisers.
No, there's not as much politics involved with those guys, like the Bob Arams or the Golden Boys involved, so they can be easily made these fights, like the cruiserweights actually. But it's not the cruiserweights. All the champions are big, fearsome guys who can really punch. It's just, I think it'd be a shame if they do bypass that one.
Yeah, it's a hell of a division. Jumaane, the tournament as a whole, is it something that's sustainable and can go on and on and on, or do you think they'll find themselves when they throw 50 million at the whole competition for prize money? Is it sustainable as a business model, or do you think it's something that'll fizzle out?
Yeah, it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle, but it depends if you've got the right people funding it. I mean, from what I know, it's the Saudi. I don't know who in Saudi, but Saudi Arabia are kind of funding the WBSS, and it's been quite a success, and considering it's the first year of doing it, and things haven't really fell through. Everyone's fighting. It's been an amazing production on top and everything.
So good.
Amazing. It's nothing like nothing I've ever seen before, really, and it is a lot of money, but it's also at the same time the amount of money that's being spent elsewhere on different things is not really out of this world. Like 50 million
for the whole tournament,
for a whole tournament. How much did Joshua get paid for the Klitschko fight? And that's just boxing. If we go to football, it's just stupid amounts of money these days. So I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. Maybe unsustainable if you don't have the right funding, but I can't see any reason why these people who are funding it at the moment won't continue to do it for at least maybe another 2 years, so maybe another 4 more at least. And if there's still success in it and there's still more fights being made, then it's all good for boxing, really.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I think the biggest thing for them was securing TV networks, because the TV networks were paying money for the coverage. Obviously, it was well documented that they were struggling to get really a TV network interested. I heard they had to lower their money. Well,
we the Europeans, we've been lucky with it. The Americans haven't had any TV coverage for this, so that's going to have to change if they want to do some particular weights.
Yeah. That's true. That is a good point, actually. Where does Eubank go from here, Sam? Let's go to you, mate. Eubank from here, does he go back down?
Do you know where he goes first? He goes to a boxing gym.
Oh my goodness.
No, and I don't mean that. Listen, get him in with a coach. Get him a coach. Like, you got Ronnie Davis. Peter Fury tweeted what a shame it is you have Ronnie Davis as a bucket holder, which is what he is. You got his dad. Obviously, we didn't hear the corner, but I'd imagine was just swanning around talking about the Warrior Code and rocking his FBI badge, which he does quite well. I'll be honest, but just get him a coach, man. Give him someone who's going to sit him down and give him a slap now and say, listen, you don't know everything, and this is the fucking proof that a good coach in McGuigan and an intelligent fighter like George Groves will give him just complete and utter ag. He can't deal with that kind of shit. A brain and the foot. So let's get him fixed. Let's go in. He's definitely not done. Fucking Prince Nazim's crazy, bro. He's done. He's got to quit. Come on, let's get him a coach. Let's get him to learn how to jab. And stop thinking you know everything, mate. You don't.
Is he coachable? Why do you think he's not got a coach? Obviously, we know about all the bravado and stuff like that, but is he coachable, or is he one of the... Because he was with Adam Booth for about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And that fell through, and we know how highly Adam is thought of, so...
Maybe his dad has to be the one to say it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was about to say, I think senior plays a huge... Well, we all know that plays a huge part in what happens with juniors' career. I mean... Personally, I'd like to see him step away, have his old man step away, and Junior should really try something else. Even if it means going to the States and finding a trainer there. Just
back to the Mayweathers.
yeah, well, just do something really to try something else now, because I think his old man's been a bit of a hindrance, especially losing that Golovkin fight a year or two ago.
Jumaane, what for you? You're in the gym all the time. Obviously, you're seeing people getting trained, seeing people receive feedback, constructive criticism and all that sort of stuff. Does he strike you as the kind of guy that is not coachable in terms of the way he conducts himself, or is it something to do with his dad, in your opinion?
It's very down to the person. I mean, he wants to get out of his dad's shadow, but he refuses to really be away from him, or not to take any advice elsewhere. So if you can't take any criticism on, or even compliments on by anyone else, then you can't really make progress. So if you think you know everything, you can't make progress. It's just about trying to actually learn from each situation, regardless of the result or what happens, the outcome. If you're not learning from it, then what are you changing in yourself? How are you actually bettering yourself? You know, you can only do so much by working hard, and just doing rounds and rounds of sparring where you're not actually trying things out. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, but yeah, again, it's just really down to, is he willing to go out and actually put his pride behind him and be like, okay, I don't know everything, or I might need to listen to someone else, even though I feel like you don't deserve my time, or what, however he feels. I don't think he's actually that much of a dickhead. It's just he's just quite reserved, and he's just been brought up in a certain way, you know.
It's a bit of bravado, innit?
But when it comes across, it's almost like DeGale when he comes on when there's media and there's a camera. I swear he loses himself. He's actually not that bad a person. George is probably going to kill me for saying something like that. And
the girl did tweet, my G. It's like a team grows. Yeah. Obviously a bit of payback for when the Eubanks abused him after he lost to Caleb Truax. But
this fucking journey is like Dawn of the Dead, man. There's like cars just pitched up at the side of the road.
Yeah, we've had a nightmare.
With no drivers. We do not know what the fuck is going on.
We've had a nightmare.
Oh, I'm so rough. What was I going to say?
Yeah.
You're so rough.
You're so rough. Yeah,
so
Eubank, where's he go next for you, Craig?
I think he has to go back down. I know they're talking about maybe go back down to middleweight. The only issue if he goes back down to middleweight is I think Billy Joe Saunders beats him more convincingly than George did.
100%.
And that's not a knock on George, it's just the styles. Billy Joe's on such good form.
Well, plus he's in a different place now, isn't he, Billy Joe? The team, the nutritionist, the team he's with now. He's just going to be a different animal to what he was before.
So I don't know if he fancies going down, because the middleweight landscape is almost more convoluted than it was when he was there.
Question is he good enough to stay at 168 and compete? Some of the guys are bigger than George there. The other guys got the belts. Yeah. They're younger and bigger than George, so it's a challenge. For him to hopefully try and win anything meaningful at the weight. So I think middleweight's probably lots of him go back and challenge.
I think he could win the British at super middle.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of like a world title.
But his ego probably won't allow him to fight for the British again. He gave it up at one point because he felt he was too dangerous for opponents.
Way above it.
It's all ego, it's all bravado. I mean, guy can throw 96 uppercuts in a minute but doesn't learn the jab yet. Whatever looks good is what seems to suit that guy. So.
But when you're Eubank, you've got the name, you've got the profile. You'll be earning big money at world titles. Why we want to go back fight for? And that's I think his British title. But I think he probably is beyond that now. He wants to earn big money, and fighting for world titles.
Is there a possibility that he never wins a world title?
Yes. Definitely. Unless his mate Ed Levine might give him another shot somewhere at the IBO. Fucking fast that was. Ed Levine giving Eubank a little pat on the back and a little, come on, you can do this, Eubank. Well, George has now got your world title, and I hope he's put it in the bin, Ed. All right.
Fucking hell. Sorry, Ed, mate. I'll talk to you later.
Maybe. Actually, on that note, I think we all spoke about this. don't know if even George Groves accepted that IBO belt. I don't know if anyone could clear that one up.
I didn't see it in the pictures.
Didn't see it, no. So that's a nice little dig from Groves there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. Has all that stuff, the bravado and the attitude and the posturing and posing and stuff, there's an argument to be made that Eubank is the second most marketable fighter in the UK, and he hasn't really scaled any great heights yet. So has that all been smart business from them? Maybe not smart boxing, but smart business to get himself into that sort of position where people say he's the second biggest draw behind Joshua. I don't know, Jumaane, is it worthwhile for them because they'll make more money, or do you feel as though they should have established themselves at title level and then started thinking about these things?
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Prior to this fight, he was a pretty heavy favourite.
Yeah.
And that means convincing a lot of not just boxing fans, but the people that really go to see boxing, not just casuals, but people that think they know boxers, maybe other boxers themselves. Okay, so that must mean they've been doing a good job to get him to a place where they can start to almost choose fights for him and only pick the bigger fights, which one creates a bigger name for himself and then brings in a bit the better money. I remember him saying no to a load of fights, maybe not him, but a senior, just to make sure he's choosing the right fights, and they're picking it right for him. But also, again, there was no one that really boxed. Even if they had someone not as good as, obviously, there's not many people better than Billy Joe or George, but could just box a little bit, and then he would fight, and then they'll get caught. He would learn about when that person's jabbing and he's not getting that range, and then being able to pull it on them. But he didn't almost have that transition. It was just someone that would stand there and take the shots, and then someone that's an amazing boxer. There was no in between. We almost just died.
Wow, we did almost just die.
That's what happens when you don't indicate.
Fuck you stupid cow. Sorry about that. I'm not sorry about the expletives though. What were you saying, mate?
I'm just going to pull out in front of you at 70 miles an hour.
Fucking idiots.
Time to my seatbelt on.
This is the danger when you do the podcast in the car.
Can you imagine?
Anything can happen. We just drove by a fucking dead fox as well. It's mental out here. Yeah, it was.
I've lost
So
my train of
off.
thought.
There's an argument to say that aside from winning titles and aside from actually performing in the ring, they've done everything else perfectly. Isn't that? It's weird, isn't it?
But
because they've done everything else perfectly.
It's perfectly to get what? To gain what? If they wanted just to gain the one-off money of getting a little bit of money, then okay. But I mean, the Eubanks are pretty well off as far as I know, and once he's done, there's no real legacy there, is there?
Yeah. True. Very true. Sam, if you were Chris Eubank Senior watching that last night, what role do you play moving forward, and is he humble enough to take action?
I'd like to hope so. Now listen, I agree with a lot of what you said, as in they've done kind of everything right. They had him beat up names that will stand still, Alpha Abraham and stuff. But now, when the real gut check, the real two tough fights of his career, he lost them both. Let's be honest, he lost both two tough fights of his career, you know?
Yeah.
So let's change something. If you realistically want to achieve something more, then his dad should be saying, Junior, I think it's time you step away, and I think you should take your own path in this game.
It's like seniors in the car with us.
I think you should step away, and I think you should go, maybe not look for a new coach, but
Look for a coach?
Look for a coach, yeah. I don't know. You'd like to hope that he'd have his son's best interest at heart, and realistically watching that, he has to be aware that there has to be someone who's not as emotionally invested in him, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? He'll probably end up fighting in 6 weeks' time or 8 weeks' time with Ronnie Davis holding the bucket, Senior with a waistcoat on, and he's fighting for an IBO Intercontinental against a super middleweight from fucking wherever. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't put it past them, but I'd like to think they'd make a change and then he can actually have some more meaningful fights and be in with a shot. Because at the minute he ain't.
Dan, who would you like to see coaching, mate?
Yeah, I was having a discussion actually earlier with Sam. I think that a lot of this as well, that does have to be changed, but Junior has to be assertive as well with his old man. But last night was going to be a bit of a humbling for both of them in the sense I do know something has to change. Do you know what? In terms of the coach, I was saying to Sam earlier, I'd like to see him maybe try and give Adam Booth another go. But obviously things would have to change.
I don't know if Booth has. Booth has a lot of fighters at the moment. Obviously, he already spreads that among a few other coaches as well, but gives them all his time.
I tell you, it won't be Dom fucking Ingle. Alright, Billy, I'm bringing Chris up for a... No, that ain't happening.
Listen, Tom, you're not making that fucking cake. He loves making cakes, man, for some reason. Yeah, interesting to see who would suit his style, actually, because...
I'm just trying to think really who's out there.
You're thinking of guys that coach flamboyant fighters, and you are looking at Booth or Ingle, really, to be fair.
When you have flamboyant fighters as well, you need... It'll be hard for him to change to their time, for Eubank to be on Booth's time or Ingle's time. He would want to kind of do it around when he wants to, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So it's tough enough for him to go out and get a coach to then have to change. No way.
What the fuck?
In the middle of nowhere.
Shout out to the adult superstore, sexystores.com, that we've just drove by as though it was a fucking diner at the side of the road there. This is mental, this place.
Where
are we here?
I'm sure we're in Wales.
Somewhere in Yorkshire somewhere.
This is like the fucking Hills Have Eyes out here. I don't know what's going on.
It's like Warriors.
Oh, Sam. That's meant what Eminem, sorry.
Shout out Skellington, that's apparently near where we are. Sexy stores at the side of the road,
Listen,
man.
we have no idea how long this podcast is going to be. When we cut it all together, this could be like a 6-hour podcast in this fucking journey.
This section, listen, this section feels like 6 hours for me. Fuck's sake.
I just hope everyone gets to hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheer back.
I've got pretty much a question for you as well. George Groves, now, should he not get to the final or whatever, what would really everyone like to see him do after this tournament is concluded?
Let's jump over to Jumaane, because you know him personally, Jumaane. What would you like to see him do? Stay at super middle, move up? Who would you like to see him fight?
Do you know what? With George, I kind of just want him to be happy, really. I know he's got his young child now, Teddy, and I've seen it put a lot of pressure, not just on him, just boxing in general, put a lot of pressure on people. And hopefully reading the Fight Talk, some of the interviews, especially the ones that Craig writes so well, not just because he's next to me, you can tell that he can put a lot of pressure on people. So he's really wanted to win the world title many a times. He won that world title and everyone was ecstatic when he won it. So now it's like it's down to him whether he wants to do what he wants to do, really. It's not, I don't feel like there's anything he needs to prove. I'm sure there's fights which people want to see him in, but I don't want to say he's done enough, because everyone's always going to have that ambition to want to push him more. But does he have the love for boxing after how much things have done? He's definitely got the skill and he's definitely still got a lot more to bring, but there's nothing I personally need to see from him. And he could go wherever he wants. He can get any fight he wants, especially even if he doesn't decide to fight in the final. So I mean, there's Caleb Truro there. Who's going to fight him next anyway? The girl's not going to get the rematch. Maybe Eubank will slipper his way into that fight.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
The girl's got the rematch clause for that.
Yeah.
So
It mysteriously made its way into the contract afterwards.
Yeah, it's a nice little envelope that's passed on.
Sam?
From a selfish point of view, I want George to keep going. I love following him around the UK and look at the nights and the weekends we've had. Let him be a wild card in the light heavy World Boxing Super Series next year.
That'd be amazing.
Let him keep going. But realistically, I think he's achieved what he wanted. Maybe 2 more money fights and then check out. He's done what he wanted to do. He's put the demons to bed in my eyes. And just like Jumaane said, let him retire happy and the demons are gone. Money to secure his family. That's all I want for him, to be fair.
Yeah. Very interesting. I don't know if, for me, I don't know if he holds himself in that light heavy tournament. There's a lot of killers up there, man. Fucking killers. And I do think he's done enough, but I think he's got a couple more fights in him, like Sam said. I think 18 months, 2 years, and then cash out. So it'll be interesting to see if a fight with De Gale becomes relevant again. Maybe bow out on a fight with De Gale. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Maybe try and unify against one of the other champions. Truax is definitely beatable. Zurdo Ramirez has never really been tested, so it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. Benavidez for me is legit. I think Benavidez is legit, and he's very young. He's only going to get bigger. So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting division. I've just got my eyes peeled now in case we're driving by any other pornographic stores at the side of the road. What's this one?
It's only 10 miles actually.
Oh,
the Fox.
kind of boring.
Fuck's sake, man. Yeah, interesting. Good night last night, had by all.
Yeah, met great people.
Yeah, great people, man. Great people. Really.
The only shameful thing I've got to say, as boxing fans we didn't see any of the undercard fights.
Alright, Dan, fuck's sake.
What do you talk about?
Well,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw a couple of rounds of Tommy Langford, and that's about it, because I was at the bar for 45 minutes trying to get served. But no, those are some of the fights I want to catch up with properly when I get back.
Yeah. You've seen a couple of rounds and we bought a couple of rounds. Yeah, Langford won on points, and Ryan Walsh, Isaac Lowe declared a draw, I believe. Interesting stuff. Yeah, great. I mean, the show's so good, man. The World Boxing Super Series is so good. The lights, the smoke, the guy with the dreadlocks. He's got one more dreadlock than Jumaane.
Someone wants to get punched today.
So, overall, fantastic night. Anything else from anybody else?
No, let's hope the sound quality holds up. There's no fucking wild screeches in the background or bibbing at crazy women who just decide to pull in front of you. But yeah, no, it was fucking quality weekend. Everyone who we met, top people. Just fucking quality, mate. What a weekend. It's going to be a fight talk on the road. Groves Eubank special, I think. So if you made it this far, thank you very much.
Before you go, lads, semi-final next week, who wins? Brahim or Smith? Who's going to stand in the opposite corner, possibly, to Groves?
Smith, yeah.
Smith
Smith
for you?
Yeah, I see Smith, yeah.
Smith?
Yeah, definitely.
Smith. I reckon Brahim could trouble him a little bit, but I reckon Smith gets the job done. I'm going to one time I went to a strippers with my mate, right? I don't always go to the strippers, fuck's sake. But I want to tell you this story. I went to the strippers with my mate once, and he just sold his house. And he's a bit of a lonely bastard, man. He doesn't listen to this podcast, so went to the. That's the kind of guy he is, right? So I used to come home and middle of the night, and there'd be one light on in the whole house, and he'd have like a little headset on. He'd be doing like an American accent, playing like fucking Call of Duty. Hey man, yeah, back out, Roger that. I'd go, who is this clown? So we went to the strippers, and he got a dance off this bird. And he disappeared for a while, and he came back, and I was having a beer. He came back, and he went, I need 70 quid. I went, what do you need 70 quid for? He went, another dance. I went, the same bird? He went, yeah. I said, mix it up, man. Anyway, goes away, disappears, spends 70 quid, comes back again, goes to a cash machine, takes out 80 quid, goes away, comes back again, and he said to me, listen, I think she really, really likes me. He was convinced this bird actually fancied him. It was hilarious, man. Comes to closing time, he's floating about outside at closing time, thinking this bird's going to take him on a date. She was clearly doing coke with the owner, getting pumped or something like that. So the moral of that story is,
don't sell your house.
Don't sell
it on the strippers.
The moral of the story is, if you play Call of Duty, you're a fucking sad case.
What's that got to do with Callum Smith?
I don't understand.
I thought he was going to say yeah, and then Callum came out of nowhere. Walked in and he's so drunk, he's making 0 sense.
Oh shit, I just elbowed Jumaane in the head.
I got a nosebleed now.
Oh god.
End the podcast there. Irrelevant stripper story.
Listen, stay away from those birds, man. They'll take your money. Shout out to the New Age Podfather, fighttalk.net. You know how we roll. We're in the car on the way back to London. Dan Frost, Jumaane Camero, Sam O'Reilly, Craig Scott. We are fucked, man.